Well, good morning. Welcome back to Central Ontario and to GP Outdoors. We were supposed to have a gorgeous day here in Central Ontario, but of course, you guessed it, more rain this afternoon. So we're getting a bright and early start to today's activities. What's really nice is we finally got some relief from the black flies and the deer flies. They're slowly dissipating, and pretty soon they'll be gone altogether for the most part. Mosquitoes, always gonna have mosquitoes, but I'm so happy not to have to wear that bug jacket today. Today we're heading over to my neighbor Guy's place. I don't think I ever mentioned it before, but Guy's a bit of a gun enthusiast. He's been shooting all his life. A few years ago, he built himself a 100-yard gun range out on his property, and he uses it pretty regularly. Kind of cut it through the forest, really rough-like. And over the last couple of weeks, he's been working with his L series, trying to clear out some of the rock and the debris in the middle so that he can get a nice, clean, beautiful straightaway right out to the target. As you guys probably know, there are a whole lot of different types of grapples that you can buy on the market. Different types, different designs, meant for different purposes. As you know, the one I purchased is called a root rake grapple. And the reason why they call it a root rake grapple is the design of the back tines are meant such that you can actually drag them or push them through the ground to dig up roots or small rocks and those kind of things. Which, in all fairness, I've never really done before. Because as you know up here, the ground's pretty much all rock. There isn't a whole lot of soil. So as you can see on this grapple, the root rake portion of it, so to speak, has these big, thick steel tines that come down, and you'll see they all come to a point, and you'll notice there's a support bar that runs across, I'd say about 8-9 inches in. What I understand is the design of this is such that when you're dragging or pushing this through the ground, the purpose of this bar is not just for support, but it's also to help keep it from the tines digging too far in. More or less to allow it to ride along the ground so that the tines are digging in but not digging all the way in. Of course, I've never tested it, but we're going to do that today. Although you folks know that I'm not an expert at tractors, this is my second year, almost full second year with the tractor. I have learned a few things along the way from subscribers as well as some research I've done with YouTube and as well as discussions with the dealer and the mechanic at the dealers. And the one thing that I have to be mindful about today is how I'm going to be dragging the ground with this grapple, the same as I would with a bucket. You have to be very careful not to drag with these curl pistons fully extended. And I'll show you what I mean. Similar to when you've seen me do some grading on the driveway, and you'll see I often back drag the gravel with my bucket. I tend to turn the bucket so I can get the bottom lip of the bucket to drag. But you'll notice I never fully extend these curl cylinders all the way out and then try to drag with pressure. And similarly with the root rake, I have tines in the front and the back that I can use to either drag or to push. And what I understand is that if you fully extend these curl cylinders all the way out, and then you start to drag the ground with the bucket or the grapple, all of the energy of any rocks or debris or hard spots that you hit, that energy is transferred directly to these cylinders, as opposed to being borne in some part at least by these loader arms. And that's a bad thing. You don't want to put all of the energy or the transfer of energy into the cylinder alone. You need to make sure that your loader arms are absorbing some of that energy or most of it, because the curl cylinders are not designed to do that. You'll find that there are a few videos on YouTube where people have been kind enough to show us the end result of what happens to these cylinders when you fully extend them and start dragging through and hitting rocks under the ground, or if you're back dragging your driveway and you hit something hard like a rock. What you'll see on those videos is that the result of that energy transfer from your bucket or your front implement through onto these cylinders breaks and cracks this piece of the cylinder, and you have to replace it. So we're going to throw a little ballast on the back of the tractor, get her fired up, warmed up. We're going to head over to Guy's and let's see if we can help them out today. Stick around. Cheers. Hey, good morning, Guy. How are you?
Good morning.
Morning.
Fighting the bugs today.
I think so, yeah. I didn't bring the bug jacket because I thought we were done with deer flies and so I started heading up the driveway. So what do we got here on your range?
Well, this is my target range.
Yeah.
And of course I'm be shooting over top of a rock wall, which I don't particularly like because of the possibility of ricochets, let's say.
Okay.
So I'd like to widen it out. And hopefully your grapple, he's helping already.
He's starting to pick up the twigs.
Hopefully your grapple will be able to pick up the rocks and we can move them back out of the way.
All right, well, I'll do the best I can with it. There's some pretty big boulders here.
Oh, there are.
Yeah, and I'd love to be able to try that root rake through, see how that works.
It should be interesting because it should pick up the rock and leave the earth.
Okay, yeah, good point. Okay, well, let me fire it up. Let's get her going.
Sounds great.
can see, we got some pretty big boulders here. A lot of places I had to just push because I didn't want to lift because you could tell that it was getting a little too heavy for that small tractor, but I was able to push them up and over the little ridge. Moved a lot of them out. The tines worked really nice digging through the soil, and I was able to catch a lot of rocks. And once I caught it, I just went really slow, so as soon as I got that stop, I was able to know I had to dig down and go back and pull them up. Unfortunately though, I actually bent 2 tines. I've never bent tines before. Mind you, those are pretty huge granite boulders, and I was doing a lot of digging and a lot of pushing. But it looks like we might have a little work to do in the shop later on.
Whew. That was a lot of good work here.
Yeah, well, it worked out pretty good. I couldn't budge these stumps with this little bee, but I was able to dig up, and you can see I got some of the roots. But
well, that's going to help us start to rot it out.
Yeah, well, listen, I'll give you a hand finishing up those rocks, and then maybe we can break for some water.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Good stuff. All right. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you like the channel, please click subscribe, hit the like button, and if you want to know when I'm posting videos, just click that little bell. Have a wonderful week with your families. We'll see you again on the next one. Cheers.